What's up, everybody? Welcome to week one of a brand new series that we're starting called I Am, where we're going to be talking about the I Am statements of Jesus, the things that Jesus claims himself to be. It's going to be a great series. I'm glad that you're here. I hope that you stay along for the ride over the next several weeks because it'll give us great information on not only who Jesus is, but how that affects our lives. Sound is a physical thing. That's why if it's loud enough, we can feel it in our bodies. Most of the time, we can't see sound with our eyes, but in certain situations, we can. Check this out.
The first experiment for the cymatics music video is called a cladney plate. Now, cladney plate's basically a metal plate attached to the top of a speaker. There's sand on top of the plate, and you play different tones through the speaker. The plate vibrates, which forms different shapes depending on the frequency of the sound.
Well, we blew up a lot of speakers with the cladney plate. So there was a lot of experimenting around the cladney plate, primarily looking at how much volume we can put through there, how much sand to actually put on the plate, and the different shapes of plates and what different patterns would be created because of those shapes. But what we were really testing was what frequencies create the most interesting repeatable patterns, because that was a key point. So we ended up playing pretty much every audio frequency through the plate to see what different shapes it would form.
And for most frequencies, it doesn't really do much, but when it hits a frequency that resonates with the plate, it forms a really nice pure shape. So we found out what those tones were, and those were the tones we used to draw the plate during the video.
This helps us see that our physical environment changes when someone speaks. So when someone tells us who they are, they alter the air in the environment around them. Reality changes. Isn't that kind of cool? I think this is another way of emphasizing why listening to people is so important. And also why it can be such a bummer if we don't listen to what they say about themselves. What they wanted us to know about them actually altered the air. They changed the reality around us, and we still can miss it. Today, we'll look at a few things that don't seem like they go together at first, like sound, shepherds, and sheep. And it would be totally fair if you are unfamiliar with any of these things, but let's gauge where you are anyway with just this little activity. Everybody stand up and raise your right hand if you think the statement is true, and your left hand if you think it's false. Everyone who answers correctly stays standing, and anyone who responds incorrectly sits down. The last one standing is the winner. I'm going to move pretty fast, so here we go. The proper name of a sound wave is called a crescent wave. That's actually false. A shepherd is someone who looks after sheep. True or false? That one's actually true. Scientists have recently discovered a new sound wave called a party wave. All right, that one is actually false. All right, the sound a sheep makes is called a burp. That's actually false. No, it's not called a burp. I think it's called like a bleat. A group of sheep is called a herd. False. It's actually called a flock. Okay. The scientific name for sound waves is called longitudinal wave. That one's actually true. A proper term for a shepherd's staff is called a crook. That one's true as well, right? Studies show that sheep are even able to recognize human faces and voices. That one is true. Okay, how about this one? If a sheep lies down, it won't get up without the help of the shepherd. That one is false. How about this one? Shepherds often worked with wolves called sheep wolves to learn how to make wolf howls. This is so they can help train sheep to hear danger. False. I mean, hopefully you didn't need me to actually tell you that one was not real. If you fell for that one, then I don't know what to tell you. All right, are any of you still standing? Because if so, you're our winners, and at the end you can get some candy. If nobody's standing, nobody gets candy. Sorry. We don't need a poll to tell us that it's tricky to sort out what's true and what's false in this world. When figuring out what's true, it's important to go to the source. The same is true when figuring out what is true about Jesus. What if we let Jesus actually tell us who he is and show us who he is himself? Whether you've grown up in church or this is your first time, the place to start understanding Jesus is by allowing him to tell us who he is through the Bible. The reality is that we all want to be known. Sometimes we spend our lives feeling like nobody knows us. We try, but sometimes it feels like nobody's listening. Even so, we want to be known for the right things. You want to be known for what you care about, what you stand for, and the things that you love, the people that you love. The Gospels, the first four books in the New Testament, which are Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, they're all about Jesus' life. They help us know who he is and what he cared about, what he stood for, who he loved, and why. They're the stories of where Jesus lived, what he did, and where he visited, his conversations, the miracles he performed, and most importantly, his death and resurrection. One of those books in the Bible that we find in the New Testament, one of these four Gospels, is the book of John. Its central theme is love, and the author, John, was a disciple of Jesus and followed him on a 3-year adventure doing ministry. So in John chapter 10, verses 1 through 18, he recounts a parable where Jesus gave us insight into who he actually is. Check this out. Very truly, I tell you, Pharisees, anyone who does not enter the sheep pen by the gate, but climbs in by some other way, is a thief and a robber. The one who enters by the gate is the shepherd of the sheep. The gatekeeper opens the gate for him, and the sheep listen to his voice. He calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. When he has brought out all of his own, he goes on ahead of them, and his sheep follow him because they know his voice. But they will never follow a stranger. In fact, they will run away from him because they do not recognize a stranger's voice. Jesus used this figure of speech, but the Pharisees did not understand what he was telling them. Therefore, Jesus said again, very truly I tell you, I am the gate for the sheep. All who have come before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep have not listened to them. I am the gate. Whoever enters through me will be saved. They will come in and go out and find pasture. The thief comes only to steal, kill, and destroy. I have come that they may have life and have it to the full. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. The hired hand is not the shepherd and does not own the sheep. So, when he sees the wolf coming, he abandons the sheep and runs away. Then the wolf attacks the flock and scatters it. The man runs away because he is a hired hand and cares nothing for the sheep. I am the good shepherd. I know my sheep, and my sheep know me, just as the Father knows me, and I know the Father, and I lay down my life for the sheep. I have other sheep that are not of this sheep pen, and I must go and bring them also. They too will listen to my voice, and there shall be one flock and one shepherd. The reason my Father loves me is that I lay down my life, only to take it up again. No one takes it from me, but I lay it down of my own accord. I have authority to lay it down and authority to take it up again. This command I received from my Father. This is what Jesus wants us to know about himself. He tells us that he loves his sheep so much that he would die for them. He is the one good shepherd who wants his sheep to have a full life and is willing to give his life for them to make that possible. Jesus runs after his sheep, and even when they run away from him, he continues to love them. Just as the good shepherd protects, guides, and gives up his life for his sheep, Jesus gave his life for us on the cross. Check this out just a few chapters later in John chapter 15, verses 9 through 14. Jesus answered, "Don't you know me, Philip, even after I have been among you such a long time? Anyone who has seen me has seen the Father. How can you say, 'Show us the Father'? Don't you believe that I am in the Father and that the Father is in me? The words I say to you, I do not speak on my own authority. Rather, it is the Father living in me who is doing his work. Believe me when I say that I am in the Father and the Father is in me, or at least believe on the evidence of the works themselves. Very truly, I tell you, whoever believes in me will do the works I have been doing, and they will go on to do even greater things than these, because I am going to the Father. And I will do whatever you ask in my name, so that the Father may be glorified in the Son. You may ask me for anything in my name, and I will do it. When we hear Jesus tells us that he loves us, this sound wave of love changes our reality. Right? Think back to that video at the beginning. The sound literally changes reality. The fact that our loving Father and Creator, the Good Shepherd, loves us, and that he hasn't just created us and we're off on our own figuring out this life. The fact that he created us in his image with intention, with purpose, and with love, that he would do anything for us, including laying down his life, that should change our reality, right? We are no longer servants, but friends, invited to follow Jesus and become more like him, loving others and ourselves as he does. We all want to know that we're loved, cared for, and protected by someone. And thankfully, when we let Jesus tell us who he is and what he does, we can hear that we are loved and capable of loving each other. Through the cross and the resurrection, we see Jesus lay down everything to ensure that we have the possibility of life and life to the full. All of this is possible only because Jesus is love. When I was younger and chose to be baptized, it was the confirmation from me to God that I hear you calling me to follow you, I recognize your voice, and I want to give my life fully to you. My life has had its ups and downs, but I've never had to question his goodness or love. Even in the hard moments, I've known in the back of my mind that this doesn't change who God is and who I am. What would it mean for you today to know that you have the Good Shepherd calling out for you amidst all the other voices and noise? If that's where you are, here's what you can do to respond to that love today. 1, accept Jesus' love. His love is available for you today. It's a gift, and it's not dependent on who we are or what we've done. The gift is paid for and given to you. When you come to Jesus, you can experience the transforming power of his unconditional love. If that's the step that you want to take, talk with your small group leaders today, and they can talk to you about what your next steps might be. Secondly, focus on Jesus' love. Spend 5 minutes every day, maybe 10 minutes, just focusing on Jesus' love, allowing it to be the center of your life. Maybe you've been stuck hearing about what others think about you, or what our culture says you need or don't need, or that you're not good enough. Maybe you've placed your value on your strengths, talents, mistakes, or weaknesses, but that's not who you are. You can love yourself because you know your importance, who you are and whose you are. In that 5 or 10 minutes, say, I am a loved child of God. His love for me is unconditional. Follow Jesus and allow his love to be what centers and motivates you. And lastly, we just had a whole series about this the last few weeks, but share about Jesus' love. It's worth sharing. Another way to reflect on Jesus' transforming love is to simply talk about it. Share with others how God's love has impacted your life. There's nothing you can do to earn God's love. It is available to you through Jesus' work on the cross. We are inundated with sounds that oftentimes drown out God's voice. What would we hear if we spent time turning down the noise and paying attention to what God was communicating? Maybe when you're taking your silent time this week, reread that John 15, 9 through 15 passage. Remind yourself of what's true. This is just one way it could look like for you to accept and center your heart on Jesus' love this week. It's simple. It only takes a few minutes. And imagine how life would change if you simply did this for 10 minutes every single day. Jesus loves you. Not what you can be, but who you are right now. The love Jesus offers sees past your sin and fights for you. The true depth and breadth of Jesus' love for us often sit like an unread text on our phones. We see the first part, but never click in to see the rest. What if today was like clicking that text and seeing the rest of it? Do you want to leave a love this good unread? Love puts itself second to see you succeed. Love willingly gives it all away. Love will risk his life and die to provide you with life. Every time that you are frustrated or have doubts, remember that Jesus has spoken to you and told you how much he loves you. Because Jesus is the good shepherd and he is love. I love you guys. You're dismissed to go to your small groups.